Locking your mountain bike up is really important, whether it's at home or you're away on location. Now, thankfully, there's loads of different offerings available in terms of locks these days, including the latest smart locks. Now, today we're going to be looking at a couple of different styles of locks, and I'm going to be showing you what makes a smart lock smart, and if it's something that you might want to consider locking your mountain bike with. Now, I've used ABUS locks previously on GMBN Tech when I made a video all about locking up your bike in public. We used various different styles of locks, and actually that video now has had like 1.8 million views. It kind of deals with all the sorts of ways that you would lock a bike depending on the style of lock that you use and where you're able to lock it. Now that video obviously has a load of good tips in it. I do suggest if you've not seen it, have a watch. The link's going to be down there. There will definitely be a few pointers in there that you might not always consider when taking your bike out into sort of vulnerable locations. Now ABUS actually really liked that video, and they got in touch and sent us some of their new smart locks because they were like, well, this is a new technology that you don't seem to be aware of, so you need to see this, and perhaps it might be something for the viewers. So today we're going to be looking at two major locks. Now, before I go into that, I just want to give you a bit of background information on locking your bike, types of locks, and the sort of tests and things you need to be aware of. Now, firstly, there's this style of locks. So there's loads of variations on the market, ranging from very cheap cable locks, which, to be honest, I wouldn't use for anything except using in addition to a higher quality lock, perhaps to secure your saddle and your seat post to your bike, or for your helmet or something else in addition. I would never use one as an outright lock. Then you get the classic D locks, sometimes called U locks for their shape, and you get chain locks as well. But there's also folding locks, which is something I have to confess I've always overlooked, just thinking that they're not up there with the heavier duty D locks and chain locks that you see. But I'm completely wrong in saying that, because these are actually the highest quality that ABUS offer in their range of locks. Now, you have to bear in mind that every lock manufacturer out there will not only have to have locks that adhere to testing criteria in order to be sold to the public as a secure item, but they also have their own range of in-house testing. Now, the testing of locks is something that you need to understand. There's no guaranteed way that any lock will prevent your bike from getting stolen, because there's so many different ways that a bike can be stolen in different places, different scenarios. Just for example, any lock can be broken, but the equipment to use to break that lock might mean that the thief, however brazen they might be, isn't able to use that in public. So accordingly, locks have to be preventative, I guess, against any sort of attack for an amount of time that seems feasible that a thief would dare use when your bike is exposed in public. Now, according to that, everyone has their own system. ABUS have a rating system up to the number 15, and you see on their locks, these are rated a 15. These are rated the highest that they offer, and that is up there with their seriously strong motorbike style chains, their D-locks, everything else, but in a folding format. So that's a really good thing. Now, when you're looking to buy locks from your local bike shop or buying online, take into account the sold secure rating. Now, on the side of any packaging or on any lock website, they will tell you what it adheres to. So a basic cable lock might be a bronze if you're lucky. And then, of course, you get silver, you get gold, and you get up to diamond. Now, diamond does tend to be for motorcycle level equipment, but you do get some crossover between brands. ABUS, for example, make locks that are compatible and heavy duty enough to use on motorcycles as well as on mountain bikes and road bikes, etc. So they may carry that rating. But generally, in the cycling division, you'll get bronze, silver, and gold as sold secure ratings. Now, your insurers like to see those when you're locking a bike with a sold secure rating, so that is something that you want to pay attention to. Personally, I wouldn't look at anything underneath a gold. Mountain bikes, even at a budget level, let's just say 500-600 quid, they're seriously expensive and they're seriously stealable. So do take care when you're researching what you're going to buy and what works for you. Right, so enough about that stuff. Let's have a look at these two locks here, and I'm going to show you why they might be good for you. Okay, first up, let's look at the Bordo 6500K Granite X Plus Big. Yeah, what a mouthful of a name, but a very small product by all accounts. Now, first thing to notice about this is the form factor. Okay, that is an incredibly small lock. It also meets the highest quality standards. So it's gold sold secure. It's also number 15 on the ABUS rating. So this is up there with their strongest locks. Don't be fooled by the way it looks. And I think everyone here behind the scenes at GMBN Tech have been really shocked when they've picked it up, because this thing weighs 1,760 grams. It is a whopper, yet it's a tiny little thing. Now, the beauty of a folding lock is the fact you can get this around most objects you're likely to lock your bike to, and obscure bike frames. So I'm thinking of e-bikes, mountain bikes with full suspension, bikes with delicate components on that you don't want to damage. This can work around those things. So actually, a super useful lock for mountain bikers. Now, the actual lock design itself uses 5.5mm thick hardened steel with specially hardened rivets. They're preventative against virtually every attack. Now, something to note actually about ABUS in the way that they test is pretty much their testing facility is like a graveyard of broken locks. I mean, everyone's locks. This will be the same for other lock manufacturers. You test everything out there to understand where your product is. But the ABUS facility is legendary in the bike scene. So actually, I'm hoping to go and visit there and just see how they manage to break locks in order to rate them so highly. So this particular lock has nice silicone rubber coating over leading and sort of trailing edges of all of these. So you're not having to worry about ruining your paintwork on your bike. And the same on the actual lock mechanism itself. Now, ABUS specifically recommend this lock for high value bikes and high risk areas. There's a lot of literature on their site when they talk about this stuff. So it's actually worth a read if you do want to find out a bit more about security. But something that particularly interests me is their key system. So this is the non-smart lock. It's just a regular lock that uses keys, but they have a single key code system available. So if you want to have a few other locks, for example, a chain lock for your workshop at home, a D-lock for your other bike, for example, and one of these, you can have a single key to operate them all. Of course, you will have backup keys, but you have the convenience of having a single key rather than a ridiculous bunch of keys that you always have to try in every single lock to find out which one is the right one. So single key system, ultra secure, very simple. And I think that's absolutely brilliant being able to offer that on all of their locks, except the smart locks, of course, because you won't be needing keys with those. I'm kind of staggered that a folding lock can be rated amongst the highest in a range. I literally had overlooked them for so long, just thinking that they were budget offerings or less security, but well, lesson learned for me today, because that is about as strong as you can possibly get. The form factor is a very useful thing. If you do commute to work, you've got a bracket that comes with them so you can clip it onto your bike, so it's always there with you. But of course, the fact it's quite small, despite the fact it weighs, you know, has its own gravitational pull, it's so heavy, means you can stuff it in a bag quite easily. So a real cool thing actually for bikes, and something that I've learned today for sure. But let's have a look at the smart one, because this is the really interesting one. Okay, so this is the Bordo 6500A Smart X. The exact same form factor as the other lock we've just looked at. The same 5.5mm thick hardened steel design, the same benefits that you have of the flexible folding approach that means you can get around any frame configuration and pretty much any sort of configuration of what you can lock it to in the street. The hardened rivets, it has the silicone rubber on there to protect your bike. Literally exactly the same form, exactly the same strength, gold soled secure. And it's of course a number 15 on the level of the ABUS rating system, but it's even heavier. It weighs 2,300 grams, but that is because of the additional features on the mechanism. So yes, this is exactly as protective as the lock we've just looked at, but it also has smart features on here. So firstly, you could lock it with a key, which is kind of cool, like a car key. We won't be looking at that though today. You can lock it with an app. The Smart App feature enables you to see where you're locking your bike up in public, or at least where you last locked it. There's no GPS as such on the lock, but with the Bluetooth signal, when you stand near your lock, you're able to arm it and disarm it with the wireless key feature of that Smart App. Now, this has a tamper alarm built into it, so it will emit a series of beeps if someone tampers with the bike, or perhaps if it's moved or someone kicks it or whatever, just to let everyone know, hey, this is alarmed, you need to step away. Do it anymore, and then the alarm emits for 15 seconds at a burst, and it will keep going for 15 seconds and it will stop. And if you continue tampering with it, it will go off for another 15 seconds. Oh no. He's been warned by the alarm. Now, I've seen alarms on bike locks before, and I've got to say, I've always thought they're quite gimmicky. But this packs 100 decibels into just like, it's just the most ear-piercing sort of shriek you've ever heard. A really horrible sounding noise, and I actually set it off by mistake in here when we were just playing with it earlier on. And let's face it, if this goes off in public, everyone is going to look at this noise. Now, of course, the noise itself isn't going to stop someone trying to attack your lock, but we already know that this lock is extremely tough. So you've got a couple of things that factor here. You've got a lock that is extremely capable and tough, enabling you to lock your unusually shaped mountain bike to an obstacle in public, and you've got the combination of that smart lock feature built in with that 100 decibel alarm. To me, that is a really cool idea. So yes, you do have to charge it by battery. It comes with a supplied USB cable, but battery life tends to be pretty good. It lasts days and days, so you don't have to worry about that sort of approach on these, but it is still something you need to charge. But hey, we live in a digital world now. You know, you're used to charging your phone, you're used to charging your lights on your bike, so it's just another thing to add to the collection. Gotta say, with that 100 decibel alarm on there though, it's not a gimmick. I think that is the first legit bike alarm with a lock built in I've ever seen that is actually really usable. The conventional Bordo Granite X Plus Big lock retails for $154.99, but to have the smart features of that newer, more advanced lock, it's going to cost you about 100 quid more, so $259.99. And actually, on the scheme of things, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that can make use of those smart features. Now, the app is very smart in the way it works. You can name your locks, you can see exactly where it is. Mine's called Andrew Smart X. It even tells you the lock type, tells you the time of where it's locked up. You can disable the keyless function on here as well. And it even tells you exactly where you are on a map. You can see we're here in Bath, and it says last connected 38 minutes ago, opened, of which it is opened. Tells me the Bluetooth signal, and it even tells me the battery power on there. I think it's a really cool system. You probably want to hear it though, don't you? I'm guessing. Let's get this thing armed. So quite simple. Let's just plug it in. You can see Josh putting fingers in his ears in the background. Right, so that is in place. There we go. So that is locked now. So at any point, I can tap the screen to unlock from wherever I am as well. Now, the point is, if you tamper with it, you're going to get a beep come out. So there's your warning beep. So someone would know that it's got a beep on there. And then if you attack it any more than that, let's give this a few whacks just to see. Takes quite a bit to get it going, which is quite a good thing. And that's going to keep going off for 15 seconds unless I stop it using the phone. Oh, it's a really high frequency. Enough of that. I think you get the picture. That's a properly high-pitched squeal, and it made my eyes water, to be honest. But it's kind of good. And actually, I feel like we should just try this outside in the street just to see how effective that sound is. Like I say, the sound alone isn't going to stop your bike being nicked, but the combination of a 15 rated maximum security sold gold secure lock with a 100 decibel alarm, I think that's a pretty good combination. Okay, so we've got the Smart X lock locking up at Richard's Canyon XE behind me. As you can see, it's locked on the app. Tells you where it is, and we're going to get Toff to just have a little tamper with it in the background just to see what the effect's going to be, see what it sounds like when it goes off, really. So you should get a little warning beep. There you go. That tells you the alarm is on, and I've just got a notification telling me that someone's tampering with the lock. And if he tampers any longer, in theory, the alarm should go off. You don't want it to go off constantly as soon as someone touches the bike, so you do get the warning beeps first before. Oh, there we go. And he's walked away. Oh, well, there you go. 2 alternative locks for you to consider in the realm of bike security. Like I said, no amount of locks is going to stop your bike being stolen against a would-be attacker. You just want to make your bike as difficult to steal, or more importantly, if locking up in public, make your bike less stealable than the one next to it. So use your common sense, get the best lock that's going to suit you. I tell you what, I'm seriously impressed with the smart lock. I didn't think I'd be saying that, judging by locks have got a lot of gimmicks, but that is a bona fide smart lock. I think that's really cool. And I'd love to know what you think of smart locks. Do you think that's got mileage? Would you be interested in using something like that on your Pride and Joy? And what do you think of the folding system as well, actually? If you use a lock, what do you currently use? Do you have a D-lock, chain lock, cable lock? Or do you already use something like this? Let us know in the conversation underneath, and we'll see you in the next video. See you later.